So let's talk about one of the most confusing and frustrating things our bodies can do, nerve pain. We're going to dive deep into that weird burning, tingling, and shooting feeling to figure out what those alarms are actually trying to tell us.
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You're feeling this very real, very disruptive pain, but every scan, every test comes back totally clear. It's enough to make you feel crazy. But what if the pain isn't a sign that something's broken, but a message from a system that's completely overwhelmed?
Okay, so first, let's get on the same page. What even is nerve pain? We're not talking about a typical muscle ache here. It's that very specific, very strange set of sensations. You know, the burning, the pins and needles, those sudden electric zaps that come out of nowhere. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone and there's a real biological reason for it.
And here's the first big shift in how we need to think about this. The problem isn't just one little nerve in your foot that's gone haywire. No, this is a system-wide issue. Your brain, your immune system, your stress response, they're all part of the conversation. And right now, that quiet conversation has turned into an absolute shouting match.
So, let's put on our detective hats. Our investigation starts with clue number 1, system power failures. I mean, think about the basics. The fundamental resources your nerves need just to do their job, oxygen and energy. When those things start running low, the whole system starts to glitch.
Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got a nervous system that's happy, it's getting everything it needs. But on the other side, well, that's what happens when things go wrong. Poor circulation literally starves nerves of oxygen, and an energy shortage makes them fire off signals randomly. It's kind of like trying to run a supercomputer on a couple of dying AA batteries. It's just not going to work right.
Let's break that down a bit more. First, you've got nerve hypoxia. This happens when your autonomic nervous system, the system that automatically controls your blood flow, gets out of whack and just can't deliver enough oxygen. That alone is enough to really irritate your nerves. And second, nerves are incredibly energy hungry. They run on these tiny little power plants in our cells called mitochondria. If those power plants are struggling to produce enough juice, the nerves just can't stay stable.
But a lack of power isn't the whole story. And that brings us to clue number 2, the inflammation alarm. You see, sometimes the body's own defense system gets a little confused. It gets triggered, and it doesn't just fight off bad guys. It starts irritating your nerves in the process.
And this often happens in a pretty predictable chain reaction. Believe it or not, it can all start in your gut. An imbalanced gut can create inflammation all over your body. That, in turn, activates your immune cells, like mast cells, which then dump a bunch of chemicals that directly sensitize your nerves. And the end result? Your pain receptors become hyper-excitable. They're basically on a hair trigger, turning the volume way up on every little sensation.
So, the big takeaway here is that your own immune system can accidentally put your nerves on edge. It's like having a smoke detector that goes off every time you make toast. The threat isn't really there, but the alarm is absolutely deafening.
And all of this leads us to our final and maybe the most important clue of all, the brain's job as the master threat detector. This is where your perception of the world and your physical reality start to merge. And sometimes, that threat detection system just gets stuck in the on position. And listen, this part is so important. I really want this to sink in. This experience is not imaginary. It is not all in your head. It's a real, physical, measurable thing that's happening in your brain's chemistry. When your brain thinks there's a constant threat, it physically rewires how it processes pain. So what sets this off? Well, 2 big things. First, the limbic system. That's your emotional brain. If you're stuck in a state of chronic stress or fear, it keeps your body locked in fight or flight mode, which naturally turns up the volume on all pain signals. Second, and this is a physical one, are inputs from your upper neck. Even just tension or a slight misalignment right at the top of your spine can send faulty sensory signals down the line, creating that burning or tingling feeling somewhere else entirely.
Okay, we've gathered all the clues, right? We've got the power failures, the false inflammation alarms, and that overactive threat detector in the brain. So now, it's time to put all the pieces together and finally solve this mystery.
When you lay it all out, all of these clues point to one single thing: a body that is stuck on high alert. Your nervous system, your immune system, your energy systems, they are all in a state of overreaction. And that collective freakout is what you feel as nerve pain. Now let's just connect the dots one more time. The power failures, they lead to nerve irritation, and that feels like burning and tingling. The inflammation alarms, they create hypersensitivity, which feels like shooting pains and aches. And the brain's threat detector, it just amplifies everything, causing sensitivity all over. You can see how these layers just build and build on top of each other.
Realizing this changes everything, doesn't it? The goal is no longer to just attack the pain is just the messenger. The real solution is to calm the entire system down, to restore balance, and to figure out why all those alarms are going off in the first place.
And ultimately, it all comes down to this really powerful idea of safety. When your brain and your body finally stop sensing a constant threat, whether that threat is inflammation or stress or an energy crisis, the pain pathways just naturally quiet down. Your nerves can finally get the rest they desperately need.
So I want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. What if your whole approach could change? What if instead of waging a war against the feeling of pain, you focused all of your energy on creating a deep sense of safety within your own body? That simple shift in focus, well, that might just be the key to everything.